Uno, dos, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. You see that black boy over there running scared? His old man in a bottle. He done quit his 9 to 5. He drink full time, and now he's living in a bottle. See that black boy over there running scared? His old man got a problem.
Oh yeah, we got a problem. Lil Gil Scott Heron to start off the show. Today's January 7th, and means we're about 3 or 4 days into the new year as the radio show goes. And we have a real treat for you today. We have Mr. Scott Adams, who is the talk show host at Red State Talk Radio. Give me a chance to kick it over there and blow it up for a while. They have a great network. For those of you who follow me, you know that. Scott, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, doing great, Charles. Thank you for having me on.
You know, it is. This thing that happened yesterday is so incredible. I can't begin to tell you how upset I am at the lamestream media, how upset I am at these rhinos. And they're all in this together. And somehow people actually believe that Chris Christie, Senator McConnell, Paul Ryan, Lindsey Graham are real Republicans. They care about the American people. The only politician, and he's not really a politician, the only person that I know who was in politics who cared about the American people has been Donald J. Trump. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he is definitely guilty of inciting. Donald Trump is guilty of inciting love of country. That's for sure. There's no doubt about it. He has done that in spades since his entire presidency. It is basically incited love of country. And the mainstream media hates him for it. He has incited freedom of religion. And the mainstream media, who wants to replace religion and God with government, hates him for it. And he's beholden to no one. And so the deep state and the mainstream media hate him for it.
They do. And, Scott, it's, we have been talking about this for years now. Mm-hmm. We witnessed a president under attack, under assault for 4 years. No one said anything. In fact, the media was complicit in lying on this president, calling him a racist, saying things that he supported white supremacy. I have intelligent people who get their news. You have to understand, these people have their own professions, so they get their news from TV, and so they'll say things to me like, "Well, Donald Trump never apologized for Charlottesville," and I'm going, "What do you mean?" "Well, he said he supported white supremacists." I said, "No, that's not true." I said he condemned white supremacists in the same sentence that they claim he said that there were good people on both sides. His next sentence was, we detest the white supremacists. I said that was the next sentence, dude. And they go, "Well, how come I don't know that?" They act like because they don't know something that they're given a pass because they listen to the media, and the media is supposed to tell them the truth. And I have to remind my friends, and we came up in the era of Vietnam, and we used to say things like Newsweek. Anything in Newsweek had the only thing true about the magazine Newsweek was the word news in the title. That's how I grew up being educated. But we have gotten lazy. Americans have gotten lazy, and they depend on these outlets to bring them information and shape their views. And I tell you, man, I'm telling you, you you and I, Scott, we think a lot alike on a lot of different issues. But I can say this: what they did yesterday, these were Antifa people. These were Antifa people who stormed the Capitol and who broke glass and broke into that building.
I agree with you 100%. And you know what bothers me is you get people like Judy Woodruff, who put together their PBS NewsHour show, and where they basically through blind favor to Antifa and Black Lives Matter once upon a time. Well, here's the title on the show that Judy Woodruff was doing with PBS. It says, "Pro-Trump mob storm Capitol, backing unfounded election fraud claims." And I said in response to that, I said, I can remember when Judy Woodruff, PBS NewsHour, referred to Marxist mobs who were tearing down statues, burning buildings to the ground, attacking police with bats, and shooting MAGA supporters dead in the streets as peaceful protesters. Yet here she refers to pro-Trump mob storm Capitol, backing unfounded election fraud, never minding the eyewitness account that actually said, that's Antifa that's breaking the window right now. Tackle them. And they got him.
Yeah, they
and
did.
They took the guy down.
Yeah.
And there was other witnesses that said that Antifa was being bussed in.
Okay, I got a better one for you. Not that I'm trying to do you one for one. I just got a clip and an email on my Twitter. And it shows the guy in the buffalo hat with the rings in his nose. He always shows up on camera at Antifa things. At Trump is an Antifa rallies. He wears a buffalo cap with buffalo horns. So this little moron takes a picture at the protest at the Capitol. These two white guys in black shirts, and at the bottom in his caption it says Philly Antifa. .org. PhillyAntifa.org. I mean, this is a play right out of J. Edgar Hoover's book. J. Edgar Hoover wanted to discredit the Black Panther Party as being a hostile party, as being a terrorist organization, being anti-police and killing police. Black people to infiltrate the Black Panther movement, and the antagonists and protagonists in the Black Panther Party all work for the FBI. They were the ones who started the fights. They started the shootings. They did all the stuff to get the police to respond to the Black Panther Party. They were the ones who were off the chain. They were the ones who were committing the crimes. They worked for the FBI. We know that 30 years after the fact.
Yeah, it's an old playbook.
Old playbook, man. It's nothing new. So,
and here's the kicker. You know what gets me?
No,
Charles, and what gets me about this?
What?
It's how coordinated the response is. Coordinated. It's highly technical, because you had Loeffler 36 hours prior to her standing on the floor saying, "I can't in good conscience object" on the 6th. Well, 2 days, in the rally, the 2 nights before, she was there and she was basically saying, "And guess what? I'm going to object." And she changed her tune in two days, less than 2 days. And the other one was Elaine Chao, cited the violence, and she resigned early. And, she's connected, her sister Angela and her father James founded and run the Foremost Group, which depends on China for shipping lanes.
Well, they own a $59 million shipping company. That's clear.
And it depends on China.
Yeah, it's all out of China. I mean, it's all out of China. Everything they do. But
here's the thing: they're using this as an excuse,
right? And
they're doing it to push this whole thing about 25th Amendment. It takes 8 days to process the 25th Amendment. There's about 8 business days left in until the 20th, right? and they somehow want to go about the 25th Amendment.
What they want to
And they're
do,
using,
what they're trying to do, I think, is to taint Trump, because they know if Trump comes back in 2024, we're going to clean their clocks. So
well, they want to tarnish.
they're trying to tarnish Trump so that I heard Stuart Burney today, and he was one of the few Fox people that I would watch anymore. Maria Bartolona, love Maria. I don't know what she had to say today. I'll watch her show. I don't know what she had to say about the rioters, but I'm sure she wasn't in the pocket like the other commentators. But this Stuart Burney, this transplant who came over here to America and got a TV show, God knows how he got a TV show, this foreigner. But he says to us, he says to the American people, Donald Trump is tainted forever. He's ruined. He cannot come back in 2024. He's finished. He sounded like Walter Cronkite talking about the Tet Offensive, which, by the way, the U.S. won, and Walter Cronkite lied and said that the Americans had lost Tet, and therefore we had lost the Vietnam War. And this was in 1968. We stayed in Vietnam another 7 years.
The weird thing is that it's more than likely that this was an infiltration of Antifa that actually stormed the Capitol building.
No question.
And it was 98% of the people that were there. And I know people that were there, and I'm in D.C. And, the thing is that there was nothing but happiness, jubilation, a lot of flag waving, a lot of patriotism. They were going to go to the ellipse. They were going to listen to the speech, and then they were going to go over to the Capitol building, and it was all very organized. They were going to sit on the steps, just like if people were protesting a Supreme Court challenge, they would go to the Supreme Court steps. It's same thing, no different. And it was very, very peaceful. And then you had these Antifa people that were almost being escorted in because the eyewitnesses said that the Capitol Police actually kind of disbanded and allowed the people to come through the gate and then up the stairs and then into the building. There's video footage of a Capitol policeman escorting them up the stairs. It was kind of an unusual method of police enforcement. You have the coordinated effort that, and it's no different than what they did with the Russian hoax. And it's no different than what they did with the impeachment hoax. And it's no different than what they did with so many other hoaxes where they create and manufacture a narrative. It could be a false flag. It could be anything you want it to be. Like Khashoggi, for example, was somewhat of a false flag deal. And they pinned it on Trump's actions in the Middle East for creating that uprising. And there was people like Lindsey Graham that were very upset about Jamal Khashoggi for lots of reasons. And so these are the same players that were throwing Trump under the bus after he helped them get reelected. They turned their back on them like swine and spineless rhinos. And so the situation is, it's the way they're doing it.
The guy that I really can't stand, the guy that I really detest of all of these so-called, elected Republican elected officials is Mitt Romney. I cannot stand this guy. I think that he is the worst person in the Senate. He needs to go somewhere and crawl under a rock. He let Barack Obama punk him out. And he needs to go and crawl under a rock. And someone needs to tell him that he's a punk. He's not a man. He's a little punk. He's a weasel. Yeah. He's a little sissy. Somebody needs to call Mitt Romney. And see, that's the problem with all of these guys, in my opinion, Scott. They're not very manly. Like you and I, we're manly guys. You're a wrestler. I was a football player. We're very man. What did Mitt Romney do? What did Mitt Romney ever do? I know the high school and junior high school he went to. He went to a private school in Michigan called Cranbrook, private school for rich kids. And then this kid, he doesn't know any. I doubt if Mitt ever had a real fight. He let Barack Obama punk him out. In the debates 2 and 3, punk him out big time. Where he was, oh, Mr. President, you did a wonderful job. You go back and watch the debates. And this guy's complimenting the president in the debate. And I'm thinking, what do they have on him? Do they have a picture of him having sex with an animal or something? I mean, really, I mean, what's going on? So,
well, you like Maria Bartiromo. She had Stephen Tregi on twice about 3 or 4 months ago, and he was the guy that set up Stefan Halper to meet up with Dearlove, and the whole Spygate thing with Carter Page going to the London event back in 2016, and he was the advisor to Mitt Romney in 2008, and then in 2012, the advisor to Mitt Romney was Cofer Black, and Cofer Black was the advisor to Mitt Romney in 2012, but he was also on the board of Burisma with Hunter Biden. And so, Mitt Romney, a big-time investor guy, I think may have invested in mercenaries because that's exactly what Cofer Black was involved with. And when you talk about Ukraine and you talk about mercenaries, you talk about big money financing and returns on investment. I think there is something there in play. And I think that the reason that motivated Romney into running for a Senate seat in Utah, where he knew he could win, is to actually take the mantle away from a dying McCain and literally try to protect that situation. And he did his best to do that. That whole impeachment thing was a hoax. And again, what they did yesterday with themselves to a false narrative of suggesting that somehow Trump was to blame for the Capitol breach when all he did was hold a rally. And they're trying to say that he's responsible for actors who were bussed in from somewhere else who perpetrated a crime, and somehow Trump's responsible. That's like exactly what they tried to do with Charlotte. That's exactly what they tried to do with the Russian hoax. That's exactly what they tried to do with the perfect phone call.
Yeah. I have a good buddy, and I hate to admit this, guy named Roland Martin. And Roland had something to say about Donald Trump and his supporters. And I'm going to send Roland a little note after I get off the phone. But I'm looking for the file that I stuck this in. And Roland is saying that this is all Donald Trump's fault. Donald Trump incited these people. You're getting what you asked. So who incited Antifa to burn down cities? That was okay. Burning down cities. That was okay. Burning up black neighborhoods.
By the way, can I interject real quick? Do you know if you type in Antifa.com, it goes to JoeBiden.com?
No.
Okay, type it in. Go ahead. Antifa.com goes to JoeBiden.com.
Okay, I'll type it in, but let's listen to...
No, Joe Biden's fundraiser is Act Blue. Guess what? If you go to BlackLivesMatter.com and you click on donate, it goes to Act Blue.
It is history.
Wow. Here's my friend Roland Martin talking about the protest yesterday.
And what they have done is they have caused the U.S. Capitol to be on complete right now. What people have to understand is we have seen this nonsense before. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting. They cannot tolerate losing. So as a result, what did Donald Trump do? What did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump then incited these folks all over Washington, D.C. Folks, again, what we're dealing with right now are individuals, Republicans, who are committing treason. They are committing treason across this country. And every single Republican who stood with Donald Trump, who said they were not going to support the electors that took place today, they should be thrown out of Congress. What we have to
why would you throw someone out of Congress for executing their right, their duty as a congressman or a senator? You gonna tell because they don't agree with the electors? I mean, they have a process, a constitutional. But this is Roland Martin, who's not that bright. He went to Texas A&M after all. Who's talking about? Well, because you just don't go along. We had a president who had to fight a cabal. He fought an impeachment that was unnecessary. I don't hear anybody claiming that, well, we wasted time in trying to impeach the president on a phone call that was nothing was wrong with the phone call. You heard a guy named Veneman, who's a Soviet spy or transplant. That's what I think anyway. Here's a guy who was born in the Ukraine, comes here at 3 with a twin. He and his twin brother come to America, and they join the U.S. Army, and they infiltrate the U.S. intelligence agency and move up. And one of the brothers is on the National Security Council. And
well, you want to know something else about Vindman? Vindman talked to two people. He talked to George Kent, and he talked to Eric Ciaramella, the whistleblower. And the whistleblower's attorney, Mark Zaid, actually tweeted out, and the tweet's still active. You could actually go and get this tweet. And it says, the coup has started, series of many steps, lawyers will be involved, ultimately impeachment. So this is Mark Zaid. Now, he's the attorney for Eric Ciaramella. Who's Eric Ciaramella? Well, Eric Ciaramella went on this trip to Italy, where they were meeting up with Renzi, who was good friends with Obama. And not only that, but Michael Carpenter and Biden were on that same meeting. So he was working as an advisor to Biden and Michael Carpenter. Now, who's Michael Carpenter? He's the guy that actually was sitting to Biden's right when he was at the Council of Foreign Relations, bragging about the quid pro quo with Ukraine. Son of a bitch, they fired the guy, right? That meeting, that video, the blonde-haired guy to Biden's right is a guy named Michael Carpenter, who was working with Eric Ciaramella and Joe Biden to actually advance. Not only there's good talk about Italy's involvement with voter machine fraud, but there's also that connection with George Papadopoulos and the Russian hoax.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, and that's all fact. I mean, Michael Carpenter's in that video, and Eric Ciaramella and Michael Carpenter are photographed together at a conference table with at an event that Joe Biden was invited to and went to, and had his advisors accompany him to a Renzi meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I typed in Antifa.com and you'll never believe what it went to. Restoring American Leadership, buildbackbetter.gov. Can you believe that? People, type it in.
Oh, okay. Antifa. And by the way, they just changed that. They just changed that in the last 24 hours. I promise you. I checked this out yesterday, and it was Antifa.com went to JoeBiden.com. But now they've changed JoeBiden.com because of the 6th. They made it official. Now it's a .gov address. That's official. That's a government address. Paid for by the American taxpayer, and Antifa is connected with it. That's the only way you would allow Antifa to use your IP address. And I happen to be an IT expert. So, and by the way, Black Lives Matter, when Muriel Bowser painted, and also de Blasio painted BlackLivesMatter.com down the street, you know, and NBA is trying to actually do business with China, so they put Black Lives Matter down the floorboards. Black Lives Matter is run by a bunch of Marxists. Right. And when you go to blacklivesmatter.com and click on the donate button, it goes to Act Blue. And there's also Thousand Currents. I don't know if you're aware of who Thousand Currents are. That's the one where the lady, I think it was a cop killer, was held up in Cuba for a while. Right. She was then on the board of the Thousand Currents, which is connected directly with Black Lives Matter, which is run by a bunch of Marxists. And they're donating to Act Blue, which donates all of their money pretty much to Joe Biden. So you have taxpayer-funded financing of two major groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter that have also probably more than likely financed by China, because there was a lot of talk about the Houston embassy related to China that was shut down, where they were actually doing a lot of work with these grassroots organizations to stoke civil unrest and racial divide.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Okay, I'm going to relate. I'm going to relate a little story to you that happened to me this morning. I had to go to a store about in another city. It's called Blue Island. It's about 20 minutes from downtown, 25 minutes from downtown. So it's a good 15, 20 miles out. So I go in the store, and it's a Hispanic guy who's at the terminal, and we're transacting some business, and we started talking about the riot yesterday. And he was like, "Hey man, I don't believe that it was Trump people." This young guy, he's about 30 years old, Hispanic. "I don't believe it was the Trump people. I think it was Antifa." I'm like, "Really?" And this was before I talked to you.
Mhm.
And this guy's, he's going on and on about, Trump supporters just don't act like that. You don't see Trump supporters in knee pads and bulletproof vests and, carrying around bats and stuff. He said, I just don't believe it. Young guy. So I guess they hear us over the PA system or something, right? And a guy comes out from the back, and he gives me this Instagram to go to. And the Instagram is showing all of these pictures and videos, not pictures, videos of what happened inside the Capitol. And at one point inside the Capitol, people are like, "Who are taking these videos?" Because it's obvious that someone on the other side, behind the
Camera.
behind the police, are taking these pictures, because you have the camera, the police, and then the protesters on the other side of police. So who's taking these pictures? Then he shows a gun on the floor. I mean, so you see, so where'd the gun come from? And the guy's like, "Who's taking these pictures?" Then they shoot this lady. And so this is all at a Instagram. A guy on Instagram posted this. His Instagram is GARBAGGIO 2020. So folks, get your pen and paper out there. I'm going to say it again later in the show, but right now his handle is GARBAGGIO 2020. And he has some great videos of the riots, of the people breaking in, and you could hear the people screaming, "It's Antifa, it's Antifa." And you could see people tackling these Antifa people who are breaking in, knocking windows out of the Capitol. These are not your typical Trump supporters. I'm sorry.
Oh, and not only that, but what they were saying was in real time, and it was organic, meaning people were literally trying to say, "It's Antifa, it's Antifa, it's Antifa," and then the guy with the MAGA hat, an old geezer, who really did look like a MAGA guy, right? Fit the demographic, right? And he then tackles the guy, and they cheered, they applauded that they saved the building from being breached by an Antifa guy. That was on video footage, and yet still people like Judy Woodruff blame Trump
but not only
for
Judy,
a radical mob.
Wait a minute. Not only Judy, everybody in the media, everybody in mainstream media, I have not once, Scott, I've been watching TV since yesterday. I have not once heard anyone from the mainstream media said that Antifa was even present in Washington, D.C. Not one. Not one newscaster, not one news outlet claimed that Antifa was present. In fact,
know who did? NTD. NTD covered it. Epic Times.
Yeah. So now let's deal with what's really going on, because this is where the money is. Okay, this is what this is all about. This is all about putting us back in the under the thumb of the Chinese, and finish selling this country out, because they had intended to have sold the country out by 2020 under Clinton. And that's when China was claiming it would have the number one economy. Now they say we'll be the number one economy 2025. Well, Trump, I'm telling you right now, they have awakened a giant, and they don't even know it. They think if Joe Biden thinks that we're going to allow him or that Congress to get away with selling this country out and making this country socialist, he's wrong. And I'll tell you, if these Republicans don't stand up and fight, they're gone. Mitch McConnell thinks because he got back in office that he's safe. He doesn't understand that he will be eliminated.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Well, he's got 6 years, so
No. People, listen. Let me tell you something. People, the people on the right feel we're at an apex in America, and they're right to feel that way. And there's going to be violence perpetrated against people who are not fighting for America like Donald Trump was.
Absolutely.
And you mark my words. These senators and these congressmen who are selling our asses out are going to be taken out.
Check this. I'm with you 100%. And I will tell you this. Trump used to build buildings. And then what he started doing is sort of franchising buildings. He put his label on a building and had other people do the investment, take the risk, and do a lot of the building. He would do quality assurance, and he would make sure things were the way he wanted them. But he would put his name on a building that he endorsed.
Yeah, he did that here in Chicago.
And that was okay. And he did it with wine. He did it with steaks. He did it with vodka. He did it with you name it. Okay. So across the board, the Trump brand is a branding machine. It's like a franchise. So here's what he's going to do. He owns the trademark to MAGA, Make America Great Again. What he's going to do is in the primaries of every GOP primary, he's going to handpick his own candidates. And Eric Trump already threatened him on this. And he says, we're going to primary every one of you out. And this is what Eric Trump said. I mean, basically what they're going to do is they're going to actually, almost like if you own a Taco Bell, you're going to put on a Taco Bell t-shirt, aren't you? So, I mean, it's a franchise. So basically, if you're going to be a Make America Great Again candidate that supports the American First agenda, there's going to be a Trump PAC waiting for you. But guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to put that red cap on. You're going to have to endorse the America First program, the platform. And then you're going to get not only the endorsement of the Trumps, you're going to get the financing of the PAC from the PAC, and you're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And you're going to primary the hell out every GOP on the planet. And that's exactly what's going to happen in 2 years, and in 4 years, and in 6 years. And it's going to be a monster. And it's going to be one of those forces to be reckoned with. And that's where you're going to get a sea change of real Trump. It's going to be like a clone of Trump. It's not just one Trump trying to battle the storm by himself. It's going to be an army of Trumps,
right,
taking DC by storm.
Oh yeah, and they're scared to death. That's why they're trying to taint Trump right now, and they can't do it.
That's right.
So you have
tarnish the brand.
So you have people like Stuart Varney saying, "Well, Trump is finished. It's over for him. I don't see him coming back in 2024. Varney, guess what? You don't decide who we elect. You don't decide who we support. You look at McConnell. What did Trump say? If McConnell had passed the $2,000 deal, it would have been a slam dunk. But McConnell doesn't care if he lost the Senate. He doesn't care if he loses the Senate. He's still the ranking member or the leader. He doesn't care.
Well, Paul Ryan was the same way.
Oh, no question.
He actually preferred it when he was not the speaker because he could then make the excuses. We would love to build the wall. We would love to actually repeal and replace, but we can't because we don't have the White House. Okay, you got the White House. Now what? You got that stupid brochure, right? Okay, what are you going to do about it? And he did nothing because you know what he was doing? Blowing smoke.
No question.
But
what I want to talk about is the money. Here today, in yesterday's paper, in this is at 5:00 Eastern, 5:06 yesterday Eastern time. This was published under the NBC banner, and this is what it says: a sharply worded statement from the head of the National Association of Manufacturers, National Association of Manufacturers shows oppositions to clashes that interrupted the proceedings to accept Joe Biden as the next president. The head of the group, a guy named Jan Timmons, who was once the executive director of the National Republican Senator Committee, another rhino, he said that the head of this National Association of Manufacturers groups represents 14,000 companies in the U.S., primarily doing business in China. He called Wednesday on the vice president, Mr. Pence, to seriously consider invoking the 25th Amendment of the Constitution to remove Donald Trump from office. The National Association of Manufacturing has been under heavy attack to bring back manufacturing jobs to America, to pay Americans a decent wage. They don't want manufacturing to come back to America. They could care less about manufacturing in America. They want to manufacture in China where they're body $3 a day or $1 a day.
Well, the same people that are advocating $15 minimum wage are endorsing slave labor market where 12-year-olds work 18 hours a day for like $1.
Yeah.
And live in a bunk bed, sharing a room with 10 other people.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care. And see, we are going to continue this, but this is the great thing that Trump did, in my opinion. He opened up the American people's eyes. I had been the things that Donald Trump did and said, I had been saying for 30 years. NAFTA was never a good deal for the American people. I've been saying that. Globalization was not good for the American people. I was one of the few people out there who was a contrarian on globalization. You know, people would call me names. I was a flat earther.
Well, and you know what about globalism? Globalism works when you're the poorest. Globalism doesn't work when you're the richest because there's this equitability there. So like if you and I were to like, share whatever, right? And you have, 80% of the assets and I have 20 and we're going to split the profits 50-50. Is that fair to you? That's not fair to you, right? If you're bringing to the table 80% of the worth and I'm bringing 20% of the worth, and then at the end of the day, we split it 50-50, I've gained, you've lost. You see, and that's what globalism is. It's really simple math.
Okay, well, I wanted to say hello to my YouTube and my Facebook folks out there. Let's see. Mr. Hero Fix TV says, Charles, you got to run. You got people. I know. I got people. I could run. But they'd kill me, man. You know what I mean? They'd blow up my car. They try to shoot me. No, I'm serious because I go to Congress and I would look what they did to Alan West. Look what they did to Joe. What was his name? Joe. Can't come up with his last name right now. But anyway, these were two Republicans who were outspoken and very outspoken about the people and working for the people. And they ran them out of office. In fact, here in Illinois, they took that congressman. His name was Joe something. They destroyed his district. They eliminated his district. What was Joe?
They were talking about doing the same thing with AOC. By the way, while you're thinking about that, breaking news: Nancy Pelosi just called for cabinet members to remove Trump from office using the 25th Amendment. Speaker of the House.
That ain't gonna happen. Joe Walsh, that was his name, Joe Walsh.
Oh, Joe Walsh.
Yeah. Joe's a good friend of mine. I got him in the radio. Talk to me. Talk to me. Nancy Pelosi just called for
cabinet members to remove Trump from office using the 25th Amendment.
I'm sure. I was laughing his behind off.
Well, it's just unbelievable. It's obvious, right? It's obvious that they hate this guy for whatever reason. I mean,
it's not for whatever reason. No, it's not for whatever reason, Scott. The reason is because
there's a lot of reasons.
The reason is because He is not in the, you stated it early when you first came on. He's not beholden to anyone. These same people who hate Donald Trump in Washington used to suck his kneecaps. Schumer used to go in and beg for money. Hillary used to go in and beg for money. Pelosi begged for money. McConnell begged for money. They're all whores. They're nothing but whores. I detest them with every cell in my body. Mitch McConnell, they need to go ahead and put some more sunlight on him and shrivel him up, and push him into the Potomac River and let him go out to the ecosystem and contribute to the ecosystem. I'm just so tired. But see, now we have more people who are fighting the fight with us. We have more Americans, as I said before, who understand that globalization is not good, who understand that China manufacturing is not good for the American consumer nor the American worker. We have, and this is all because of a businessman. Barack Obama didn't have a clue. He's never written a check to anyone. He's always been on the government tit. Biden, has Biden ever had a job? In the last 50 years, he's gotten a check from government. He's been on McConnell. When's the last time Mitch McConnell had a real job? He's been on the government tit. He'll be on the government tit until he dies. When he goes and gets buried, he'll be buried under a government life insurance policy. When has he paid any money to anything for any? Pelosi. You look at all of these people, man. They're nothing but whores, and they will not do the bidding of the American people. And I think yesterday really scared them. Not so much the breaching of the Capitol, because they know that was all staged. Not the breaching of the Capitol, but I think what scared them was the other people. I mean, of all of those people that were there at the Capitol and tried to get in the Capitol, there's no way that was a small group of people that invaded the Capitol. Let's be clear.
Right.
I mean, you've seen the pictures of the how many people did they say were there? Did they ever give
Actually, no. In the rotunda, there was about 50 to 100,000. There was. Keep in mind, there were in the ellipse and in DC, and people flew in from all over the country. And I mean, I have to know many of them. We had people staying at our place.
Well, man, you didn't invite me to stay at your place. You should know, you racist bastard, you. We're on Scott's radio network, by the way, folks. He is the owner of Red State Talk Radio. Just so you know. He and I have this relationship. There's a brother from another mother. I love this guy.
Yeah, oh my God.
He is truly a tremendous human being and a tremendous American.
The connection that you and I have had, there's been some coincidences that have just been so remarkable. And it's just funny. You just have to laugh.
Yeah. So whether it's the same restaurant in New York,
yeah,
or the same album,
yeah, that album was one just blew my mind.
Yeah, amazing.
No, there's a lot going on here, and you know what? There is still some hope too. I mean, you have to know that there was election fraud, right? I mean, you have to know that Joe Biden didn't get 81 million votes, right? You have to know this. I mean, it's just basic common sense.
Well, the thing that tickles me is even in Michigan, in Wayne County, they admitted that
139%
turnout. Hey, but you know what? See, this is the problem that you have, Scott. Most American people are too dumb to understand what that means.
That guarantees fraud. That's by definition. It's fraud.
Wait a minute. So most Americans are too dumb to understand what 39% turnout really means. They can't comprehend it because they didn't learn basic math, right? And they have no sense of history because that's about old white men. So
especially when you consider that 67% or something like that was the norm. So you really can't even take it down 39 points. You got to actually take it down about 60 points.
So,
to make it like normal.
Hey, man. So when I heard that, so then they're saying, well, that's a lie. Well, no, that came from the folks in Michigan. They didn't come from Trump.
Yeah.
They came from the Wayne County folks. How can they even, I don't understand how they could even try to submit that they had a legitimate vote. But let's be clear. I read a report that I'd heard about. I read it this summer. It was called the Baker Carter a report. It was a report about elections and voter fraud. And in their executive summary, you don't have to read the whole 75-page report if you don't want to, but it's a quick read. It said that mail-in ballots were the leading contributor to voter fraud because there's no accountability. There's no way to track them, to trail them, to no chain of no chain custody. So this is Jim Baker and Jimmy Carter who co-authored this report. Everything in the report has been addressed. Now, why the Trump people weren't all over this is the thing that got me. When the Trump people protested the change in elections this summer by the governors, the attorney generals, and the secretary of states of these various states, and they're changing election law, the court said, well, it hasn't happened yet, so you have no grounds. You have no grounds to sue because it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, they changed the law, but we haven't had an election. So, I mean, man, Trump got screwed three ways to.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that there was crime, and I don't think you can prosecute a crime unless the crime was committed.
Well, no.
And then
this is not about a crime. This is about a process, and the process was changed. So the process became. It wasn't a law, but the process became the process. And they had to stop the process. And when they tried to stop the process, because it was an illegal process that was put in place, and they should have been able to challenge the process and to override the process, because at the end of the day, as we've pointed out, the state legislatures make election law, not the governor, the secretary of state, or the attorney general. It's very clear. Constitution is very clear about that.
Well, the state legislature needed to get involved, and I'm surprised that they didn't. And that's why when they didn't, I said, well, I thought the Pence was going to actually take the dueling electors and send them to the state for resolution. And I thought that was going to be the play. It turns out that Pence really didn't have the president's back, unless you take a look at the idea that everybody that actually supported the fraud by voting to confirm the process and concede to the process, they are in violation. And so in one sense, you could literally take the entire government down if you wanted to. And that would be draining the swamp in royal fashion. I mean, at some point, the people that were participating in voter fraud are the people that voted to support it, or the people that propagated it or certified it and signed off on it. So in a lot of ways, you can make the argument that if they were to come out with some evidence from Italy, or some evidence from Georgia, or some evidence from Michigan and Pennsylvania, or they were to get a Supreme Court ruling that declared that there was fraud, all the way up until the 20th, if they declare, the Supreme Court were to find out and outright fraud, got you dead to rights, you're disqualified. It's sort of like that runner in the New York Marathon who cut through the park and shaved a mile off of the run. They were running at a 6-minute pace. The person wins by, say, 2 minutes. Well, if they ran that extra mile, they would have lost by 4 minutes. Now, 2 weeks later, they find out through video that the person cheated. What do? You right the wrong. That's what you do.
Well,
and so the wrong could still be righted. Not
according to what's these people? Help me out. Not according to the rhinos in Washington, D.C., who says, no.
It doesn't matter what they say. The Supreme Court would have the final say.
Wait a minute. The Supreme Court has said, well, we won't really deal with it this time around. We'll wait until 2020. We'll wait until 2022.
Not if there's real fraud that was actually found, like gotcha dead to rights. Gotcha.
Well, they have got you dead to right. Sidney Powell and these guys. I don't know when they're going to come out with their information, but it should be interesting. Let me just make comments on the YouTube folks that are out there.
By the way, I happen to know some things about Sidney Powell's Kraken.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know our friend that we got rid of on Red State over the summer?
Right.
That's supposed to be the Kraken.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a bad thing. The person's a total fraud involved with stolen valor.
Okay.
And that person has lied about their education and all kinds of things. They wrote up this flimsy 38-page affidavit.
Okay.
Somehow Sidney Powell fell for it.
Okay, here we go, Scott. This is a question for you from my YouTube team. They said, "Hey, ask you, is there an easier way to find your program on the Red State app for Android?" Yeah, I've heard that a few times.
Yes,
People
we're working on a new. We're working on a new. We have apps for both channels in Android and in iOS. The problem is our old app expired and the company expired it. And so we're working on a new app to replace the old app. The good news is the old app does work. So the Encore and the main channel, both channels, they work perfectly. And that's great. And they will never stop working. But you can't go on the App Store and download the new version. So we're about a month away from getting our new app out into the app stores for both Android and the main channel. Android and iOS.
Okay, cool. Well, man, I tell you, it's going to be interesting. I just cannot believe, as I was telling you, these young people that I saw, these two young Hispanics, they were like, "Hey, man, I don't know who voted for Donald Trump. I don't know anybody who voted for Joe Biden. I don't know anybody who said they voted for Biden." And you would think it would be just the opposite. The people would be, "Oh my God, my guy won, da da da." No, people.
But 81 million, you could throw, you can't miss them. 81 million. You just about everybody you're going to run into.
So let me finish the story. So this one young guy who comes in and he sends me the Instagrams of Antifa and he sends me these Instagram videos on this guy's Instagram page of all of these pictures being taken by someone who's obviously behind the police. Okay. And so because these videos are taken behind the police and people are trying to break into the Capitol. So this young man says to me, I was he said last week I was at a hospital and I was between two elderly black women and they were talking about how they would never vote Democrat again. I mean, man, this undercurrent out here, what's really going on? These Democrats don't have an idea what's going on with the real people. Because let me say this in all honesty, black politicians are totally 180 out of touch with their constituents, 180 degrees on everything. Black people want more funding for police. They want more aggressive funding in their more aggressive policing in their communities. They totally are against illegal immigration, LGBT rights, and all of that other craziness. So all the stuff that these black politicians, like this guy Warnock, I'm sure his constituents, I don't even know how this guy gets elected. But if you have the same corrupt voting machines, what do you expect, right?
Absolutely.
I just don't know what runs through some of these folks' minds, Scott. They have these corrupt politicians.
I don't think anything. I think that the result is already determined before. That's why Joe Biden didn't even campaign. They put all the money they got in from Act Blue into corruption and fraud. He even said, we have the best voter fraud team we've ever assembled.
Well, I'm going to play that in a minute, but right now we're going to sign off on Red State. So I want my Red State folks to know this is I'm with Scott Adams, who is the leader of the Red State crew, Red State Talk Radio crew, and we'll be back tomorrow on Freedom Friday, right here, Red State Talk Radio. Thanks again, folks, for listening in. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend and stay safe. But hey, my YouTube folks, Facebook, we're going to stick around for a while, talk to Scott, and end the show. Have a good one. All right. We're done with Red State, and we're back out here on the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter live. So we've held a pretty good crew. Let's see, say cool because you know I've been listening a long time. Thanks. So to your response about the Android app, Robert says cool because you know I've been listening for a long time. Thanks. So appreciate it. Appreciate you giving us that information, Scott. So I look at this thing about like I said, we're talking here about people's response and reaction yesterday to the storming of the Capitol. I was just talking to a friend of mine today who happens to be a judge, and he was saying to me, "Don't tell anybody that it's Antifa. Don't say that to anyone." And I'm going, "Why?" He said, "Because I'm looking at the news and they're not saying that." And I'm going, "But I don't get my information from the news, man. I don't. I make news. I don't get information from mainstream media. I do homework. I have research. I have people who call." And so you had a lot of people in from around the country who were talking about who had gone to the march. And what did they say when they returned, if they returned?
Well, everybody that I spoke with said they didn't see any civil unrest. They didn't see people were smiling, laughing, singing songs, having fun. And Leonora, my co-host, and she was in DC, and she ran into all kinds of people on the subway, at the Dunkin' Donuts, all over the place. And everybody was just so friendly.
Right.
And there was just a bunch of patriots that were just standing around. And then there's audio and video interviews. I think you have the box that I sent of this woman with the glasses on. And she gives a really nice, heartfelt account of her experience. And she pretty much mimicked everything I just said. But I talked with many people that were there. And the part that got a little bit frightening was the part where there was the infiltration at the Capitol building. And that was not reflective, as your colleague said, of a Trump supporter. Kind of backpacks that they were wearing, helmets, face mat, none of that rings true for a Trump supporter.
Now listen to this. This is this Eric Stallwell guy. He crawls from under a rock. And this is what he has to say on my Twitter page. "I'm demanding the immediate removal of President Trump from office. My full statement is of yesterday events." He said, "Democracy is under us." Get the hell out of here. If I see Eric Stallwell, he's going to be in trouble. He better start running. That's all I can say. Can you see me chasing Eric Stallwell down the halls of Congress?
He'd be in trouble.
You ever see that? You remember that TV commercial where the football player's chasing the dude?
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to be on Eric Stallwell's behind. Right on his behind.
You know what's interesting is I think they're afraid of Trump. And I think that they want him out and powerless because, a lot of people were talking.
No question. No question.
This might be conspiratorial, but there's a lot of people that are talking about, the access to the Capitol building may have given people access to data. And to your point, they could hack that in. They can go to the central server, whatever. But still, they might be worried. Fang Fang might be talking. You never know.
Fang Fang. Eric Stowell. Him and Fang Fang. Banging Fang Fang. And he talking about, I like to bang Fang Fang myself. Yeah.
Bang, bang, Fang Fang.
Bang, bang, Fang Fang. Yeah. But Fang Fang is banging a whole bunch of other people, so you may get a little something more than a little bang bang from Fang Fang. I wonder if
bang,
Fang
bang, boom, tang.
I wonder if Fang Fang is practicing safe sex.
I don't think so.
Oh, God. Fang, you notice Fang Fang got up out of here, man. She jumped on the plane and got the hell up out of here. Okay.
I know.
Now, these are the conversations that Scott and I have offline, folks. Oh, man, we could certainly do a comedy routine, man.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. But banging Fang Fang, I love it. But here we are in Chicago, and the city looks totally abandoned. It looks like a ghost town. It's just really never seen it like this before. And it reminds
light-footed.
It has been no question. It has been light-footed.
It's been light-footed.
Yeah, no question. It's been light-footed, all right. But this is the deal. For all of that light traffic, all that light auto traffic that's on the streets of Chicago, they're putting up cameras to record. If you go 6 miles over the speed limit, they're going to give you a ticket and let you donate to the city's coffers.
I got a better story for you. I'm not allowed to go out of my house after 6 p.m. today.
Oh, wow.
They still got the curfew.
Wow.
6 to 6.
Wow.
In Arlington, Alexandria, and D.C.
Wow.
It was started on the 6th of January, and it's also on the 7th.
Hey, I have a guy on YouTube, a guy named Jerry B. Good guy. He says, "What proof do you have that it was Antifa?" ? Well, Jerry, I guess you came on late because we talked about. I have a picture, and I'm gonna pull this picture up for you right here. I'm gonna show you on my phone.
Eyewitness video. You have eyewitness video as well.
I do. I have eyewitness video, but I have a picture that I downloaded from the internet, man. And it's the guy with the what do you call it? The raccoon cap with the ears on it. And this is the picture. And if you look closely at the bottom, I'm putting this up to the screen, the internet. It says PhillyAntifa.org. He took the picture. It's a selfie. He took the picture. Hey, dude. I mean, Antifa's all over this.
Well, they got another guy. His name's Jake Angeli. He's from Arizona. He's an actor. He's got an actor's profile. And he was filmed in an article that I sent you at an Arizona rally for climate change. Then he met up with the folks over at In the Matrix, which is on Red State Talk Radio as well. In the Matrix, they have a photo with him where he was infiltrating the Q community. Then he was infiltrating these MAGA rallies. He lives in Arizona, yet he went to the Mega March. He went to the march yesterday. He went to this climate change rally in Arizona.
Okay.
So the point is that this guy's on both sides, all over the place as an actor.
Yeah. Well, I tell you one thing: they weren't acting here. You listen to these news walks, and here in Chicago, there was a guy who put up selfies. We haven't heard from this guy since, but he took selfies and video of him and pallets of bricks on Michigan Avenue. How do you get a pallet of bricks on Michigan Avenue? You know what a pallet of bricks is, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have a forklift to get them off the truck. It was a pallet of damn bricks on Michigan Avenue. Guy took pictures of that. He went to some black neighborhood on the south side, and took pictures of bins of automatic guns, machine guns in a bin, just sitting in the street.
How are they getting away with this? How are they so good at perpetrating these crimes? I mean, it almost has to be like a pro
wait a minute.
level.
You drive I couldn't drive my car down Michigan Avenue. How does a big ass truck with brick pallets get there to I don't know. How does
none of these people are getting caught, or is law enforcement sort of not concerned about looking at videotape surveillance of the truck driving down the road? Or do they have this information and they're not revealing it?
So just say if the guy pulled to a side street, they took a forklift, took the pallets off, came up the street, dropped them off. Hey, this young man took pictures and he had video of pallets of bricks on Michigan Avenue. We have not heard from him since. Never heard from him since. So when people say to me, well, these were Trump supporters who were climbing the walls of what Trump supporter is going to climb a wall of the damn Capitol?
Maybe he's hanging out with Jack Ma.
And Jack Ma. Here in Chicago,
he's disappeared.
Here in Chicago, when Trump was running in 2016, they had to cancel a rally that he was having at UFC right off the freeway because of the violence outside. They had 5,000 protesters outside. There was a young lady, never forget this, man. Young lady walking in the building. They threw rocks the size of golf balls at her, rocks, pieces of concrete at her, and spit at her and threw water at her. And the police, there were like 10 policemen sitting there on horses laughing.
Wow.
Dude, 10 police, first of all, it's battery or assault to spit on someone. That's a state law. Then you're going to throw rocks at this person. Now, if this person had pulled out a gun and started shooting like my boy did up in Kenosha, Rittenhouse, this is a boy who's running for his life, okay? And this is the thing about video that I love. Here's a young man who's obviously running for his life. He has an AR-15 strapped to his chest. He's running for his life, not threatening anyone, saying, hey, I'm getting the hell out of here. Things are getting hot. So he's running for his life. This protester, we'll call them protesters. They were thugs. Runs up and takes the edge of the skateboard and hits him in the back of the head. What if he'd separated his skull from his cranium from his spine? That's a killer move. That's what you do when you're trying to kill somebody. You hit them right back here where the spine joins the cranium.
Right.
It will kill you. And the guy hit him there and knocked him down. The young man turns over. What does he see? He sees a guy with a Glock pointed at him. He lets off a couple of rounds. Boom, boom. Then he sees the guy with the skateboard come at him. Boom, boom. He didn't stand up, turn around to the crowd, and start shooting in the crowd indiscriminately. He got up and he kept running. Self-defense. Totally under control in that situation. A lot of people would have because he was being chased by a mob. He could have got up and started shooting in that mob to get people off of it, but no, he didn't do that. He shot the people who attacked him. Self-defense. It's true and simple. Another thing I want to make a comment on, Scott, while I got you on the phone. I heard these dumbass NBA players talking about trying to compare this man who got shot in Kenosha with somehow justifying his bullshit. The bottom line is the son of a gun was a rapist. He was out on parole. His girlfriend called the cops on his black ass. He had raped her, and he had a restraining order on his black ass, and he beat up 3 cops on the other side of the car. He beat 3 cops up on the other side of the car. He comes around the car, and this cop is holding his t-shirt and holding his gun in the air. The guy pulls the cop all the way around the front of the car to the driver's door. The guy opens the door, reaches in the car for a knife, we find out. And the cop shoots him in the back 7 times, and he's paralyzed. So this son of a gun has a guy taking pictures in the hospital with his he's got on a shirt and tie, trying to look like he's legit. Screw him. He's a damn criminal. I should go up there and take his ass off life support or whatever the hell he's on. He's sitting, and then you have these dumbass basketball players, pro basketball players, looking like Diddy, looking like pickaninnies with all this pickaninny hair shit going on, because they're ignorant. And these are images that black people have tried to shed for since we've been in this damn country for 400 years, and these ignorant millionaires running around looking like pickaninnies. and they don't even know what a pickaninny is with their dumb ass. It's just dumb Negroes. Okay. So anyway, well, it just shows that people can march, people can protest in Washington, D.C. and not get shot, but we get shot on the streets. They didn't shoot the protesters with your lying ass. They didn't shoot those kids who were burning and looting. They didn't shoot the people. They didn't shoot Antifa in 2016 when they set cop cars on fire, set office buildings on fire, attacked the police. They didn't shoot them. But they're right. If they had been black, they would have been shot. See?
Yeah.
And I don't have any. I never had any empathy for anti-war protesters during Vietnam because they were always violent and hostile to the police. And I was saying, here you'd have say 100,000 black folks marching down the street talking about we shall overcome, we shall overcome one day. And then the fire hoses come out. And then the dogs come out. And then the billy clubs come out. Okay. Now you got these white protesters, anti-war protesters. They show up talking about, hell no, we won't go. They attack the police lines. They throw bricks at the police. They engage the police physically. No tear gas. No billy clubs. No fire hoses. No dogs. What is it? See, I'm looking at this as a young black man who's, looking at the political landscape. And I'm going, something's wrong with this picture. So I never had a liberal. I've never liked liberals. And I've never liked Democrats. Because I've always seen this disparity going on. And it's despicable, just like it's despicable that my friend Roland Martin is talking about, oh, black people decided to vote and white people just don't want black people. Well, I say this about most Americans voting. They need to pass an intelligence test. We need to have a national intelligence test. And if you pass this national intelligence test, then you get to vote. Like, who runs the executive branch? Nothing hard, nothing, earth shattering. Like, what's the 12th Amendment or what's the 20? No, none of that, nothing like that. Well, what is Independence Day? Citizenship questions. No, no esoteric like, well, what does the 14th Amendment mean? Does it have any significance to black people? What day is was Abraham Lincoln born? We don't need any of those questions. Just regular questions like what are the first 10 amendments to amendments to the Constitution, or the first, what is the Bill of Rights? What is that? Just simple things. But most people, especially these young folks, they have no idea, dude.
Nope. You're right. You are correct.
Well, look, man, we have blown it up. We have, set it out. We've accomplished a lot, I think, today. And hopefully this Antifa thing will come out and we'll start getting the truth out about who was really protesting and who really breached the Senate yesterday. So I hope, Jerry, that we answered your questions. We'll have some post up. You can go to the Reality Check with Charles Butler. I'm going to download some of those clips and put them up with the Antifa folks. That's the Reality Check, CharlesButler.com. The Reality Check, CharlesButler.com. So, Scott, anything that you want to, how do you want to end this? How do you want to wind it up, bro?
Oh, man, I want to tell you what a pleasure it was to spend some time with you on the radio. It's been a while, and I always love talking with you. We talk off air a lot more than we talk on air, and it's just been too long. So thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Well, you stay safe, and thank you out there, folks, for telling me to stay safe. I'm always carrying that 9mm. I keep it in good working condition with some nice bullets in it. So Thank you very much. They said his parents send their hello to me. Good. I love his parents. A good buddy of mine. He calls himself webcam CEO. And this was a young man. This guy, webcam CEO, this young man. He was a neighbor of mine. I watched him grow up from the time he was about 10, 11 years old. And he's a grown man now. He's in his 30s. But this is a young man whose mother was a very successful woman on Wall Street. She was the first black woman and one of the first women to have a mutual fund on Wall Street. One of the first women to have a mutual fund, and the first black woman. So, so she builds this beautiful home across the street from us. It's about an $8 million home or more. Beautiful home. It's one of these homes that you would see in Architectural Digest. I mean, they came out and took pictures in Architectural Digest, all this kind of stuff, right? It's that kind of home. So my friend, this young man who's emailing me, Terry, he moved out of his parents' home and he moved into a condo. And every time he would try to walk from his condo, this is in Hyde Park, right by Barack Obama's house, by the way. Because they kind of embolt the back of Barack's house, their property. So the police, he's walking by himself, nice young man, no sagging pants, just clean cut. The police, the tactical police, big husky guys wearing their ball caps backwards, bald headed, not showing their badges right, would pull him over, would stop. He's walking, stop him, throw him up on the car, handcuff him, and question him. Now, what do you think that's going to do to your image or your feelings about policemen? You can't walk down the street. Now, they know gangbangers. They know who the gangbangers are. They know these bad people who come into our neighborhood to steal and to rob, but they don't confront them. They confront people like me, and I'm going back down. I don't back down. I don't believe in bad cops. I don't trust bad cops. And I hold good cops accountable for tolerating bad cops. And that has to stop. And it needs to stop now. Here I am, almost 70 years old, and I watched my friend go through this stuff, and I spoke out about it. I spoke out about it when I was on VON, and it has to stop. It has to stop because there's no recourse. You can't sue them. The police board is a joke. It's all a joke. And the only thing that they really will start paying attention to is when people start shooting back. People start shooting cops, but they shoot the wrong cops. I say, don't shoot all cops. All cops aren't bad. Shoot the bad cop. Don't shoot the good cop. We need the good cop. But, it's always the good cops, the guy who is helping everybody, the guy who's a community coordinator, the guy who's got 30 kids. That's the guy who gets blown up instead of the bad cop. And so I always say, black folks are stupid. Stupid. You hear me, black Americans? Get some common sense. And for those of you who vote Democrat, I got a suggestion for you. Take a fork, put it in an electrical outlet, and put your finger in the sink. Okay? Put your hand in the sink and take a fork and plug it in one of those electrical outlets, and maybe that will jolt some sense into your dumb behind.
That might work, Charles. Electrotherapy. I read about that.
Hey, man. It's been too much fun, dude. Too much fun. Charles. Hey, thank you.
Take it easy.
You too.
All right. Love you, man.
Love you too, man. Mr. Scott Adams. Hey. A little Miles Davis. Hey, and I want you folks to understand that you need to go out there at Netflix and watch Quincy Adams. That was a great, great documentary, Quincy. Great documentary. But yeah, I can't believe Star Wars, he's gonna call for Trump to step down. Man, you a spy. You were giving aid and comfort to the enemy, dude. They should roll you out of Congress. You a spy. He should be indicted. Hey, but look, I'm out of here. It's been fun. Thank you so much. Be good. And we will do this again soon, like tomorrow, same time, same place. 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock on the West Coast.